and an early last day of school. So the gap between spring break and last day is gonna be pretty tight. It's also the first time in a long time we've finished before log show. Well, knock on wood.
Yeah.
What Mother Nature says.
Snow and power outage and that. But we do have an inclement weather.
We have 3 of them built into the school year.
So
So fingers crossed. Blow through those quickly.
Now you look lonely over there,
I
Jason.
know, right? Here I'm just all by myself.
Well, it's 6 p.m. I call the meeting to order. First of all, I want to note that Brenna is attending on Zoom and Ed is absent and excused. So we'll get that in the minutes. Begin with the land acknowledgement. We would like to acknowledge that we gather on the ancestral homelands of the Coast Salish peoples, specifically Nooksack and Lummi tribes, who have lived in the Salish Sea Basin, throughout the San Juan Islands and the North Cascades watershed from time immemorial. On behalf of everyone here, we want to express our deepest respect and gratitude for our indigenous neighbors, the Nooksack and Lummi tribes, for their enduring care and protection of our shared lands and waterways. Next, pledge allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Approval of the agenda. Nick, do we have any changes to the agenda?
Nope.
So entertain a motion to approve the agenda as written.
motion to approve the agenda as written.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, thank you. Go to the order.
Yeah, so this is something Director Bloodgood mentioned last meeting. Deming Speedway is hosting about Baker Night tomorrow and then some fun activities on Saturday as well. So I'm looking forward to being out there tomorrow evening. It's going to be a fun time and some great community building is also supporting a great cause too. So looking forward to seeing, I know there's gonna be quite a few folks there tomorrow. So we're always so grateful for that partnership with Deming Speedway. The Washington School Risk Pool reached out to us this week to let us know that they do an internal school supply drive with their employees and they picked Mount Baker to be the recipient.
Good.
So they'll be coming up in a couple
Nice.
weeks to drop off some school supplies for us.
Oh, nice.
So, yep. And along that same vein, the Cherry Point Refinery Reach Out Group, which is a group of their employees that help support folks, have chosen Mount Baker to be the recipients of kind of a backpack drive. So
Oh, nice.
their employees are going to collect some backpacks with school supplies and drop them off to us. So yeah, some real great stuff going on. In the athletics world, Dr. Jason Heiner and Dr. Laura Fox, Ed's wife, are providing free physicals on August 21st in the field house. So that's a great service to our student athletes. And it's sometimes can be a barrier for students participating in sports. So I'm excited for that opportunity and grateful for those two for doing that for free. Yeah, so that's what we've got for good of the order.
Well, thank you.
Yep.
Thank you. Next up is consent agenda. I entertain a motion to approve the consent agenda.
Motion to approve the consent agenda.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, information from audience, public comments. Anyone signed up? Natalie Sheldon. Natalie, if you would like to come up. Thank you for coming.
Came on so quickly. Oh my gosh. Okay. Oh. So, hello, my name is Natalie Chavez. Thank you for listening to public comments this evening. I attended the Whatcom County Council meeting on Tuesday, August 6th, and I was really disappointed to see item number 14 on the consent agenda that evening, which states, quote, AB 2024-511, request authorization for the county executive to enter into an interlocal agreement between Whatcom County and Mount Baker School District to provide funding for minor renovations necessary to construct a school-based health center in the amount of $30,000. It passed by a 4-3 vote. I was at least glad to see that 3 county council members had enough concerns and common sense to vote against it. As I said, Merck is a big funder. Merck, that company, is behind the School-Based Health Alliance, and they are the only ones, the makers of Gardasil, the HPV vaccine, which is pushed really strongly in these SBHCs. And there's been a lot of HPV vaccine injuries and even deaths. And so I hope that you've been able to look at the website weisnerbaum.com. And on that website, there's, if you click on the menu practice areas and then go down to the menu and scroll down to Gardasil vaccine, it says that on their website, research has linked the Gardasil HPV vaccine to serious side effects, including postural orthostatic tachycardia syndrome, POTS, and premature ovarian failure, POF, the latter of which can result in infertility. The Gardasil attorneys at Weisner-Baum are in active litigation against Merck, the manufacturer of the HPV vaccine. Their lawsuits allege Merck conducted fraudulent clinical trials for the Gardasil vaccine and failed to warn about severe side effects, which could remain serious for years after the Gardasil shot. They have filed multiple cases for plaintiffs alleging Gardasil caused dysautonomia, cervical cancer, which the vaccine, ironically, is supposed to protect against, and wrongful death. Currently, there are over 200 cases pending, and they have information on here regarding the latest Gardasil vaccine lawsuit updates, frequently asked questions about the HPV vaccine lawsuits, and there's a lot of information, so I hope that you checked out that weisnerbaum.com website. Regarding the last meeting's agenda, you mentioned the Title IX regulations, and that by August 1st, the employees here would have to be compliant with the updates in regards to sexual discrimination. And I just, some of my questions are, what are you going to do when biological males want to participate and compete in girls' sports, and also in regards to locker rooms and bathrooms. There have been lawsuits in the past regarding this already in regards to girls getting injured. If biological males are playing volleyball, basketball, they can spike really hard and cause concussion and injuries for girls' sports. Not only that, they're taking away possible awards, scholarships for college if biological males are coming in first or second place in some of these competitions. So I was just wondering how, and I know you can't have a dialogue here, but how that's going to be addressed in the Mount Baker School District, and even are the coaches even going to be, are they going to agree with that, and what concerns will the coaches have, and are the counseling staff going to get involved? Parents going to get involved. If there's a biological boy that all of a sudden, wants to play volleyball or run track and field, how is that going to be addressed? I think that's it for tonight. Thanks for your time.
Yeah, well, thank you for coming. Appreciate that. Next up is information from board members, and I will start with you, Danielle.
I've been doing a little reading about school districts and AI, artificial intelligence, and that's something that we'll be looking at later in one of our policy updates. And I would like to encourage us as board members to maybe have a board discussion about the impacts of artificial intelligence on education. There's a strong need for school boards to set clear policy, to give our teachers and our administrators a sense of what we want to do to promote AI as a form of digital citizenship, and for our students to be ready to use it in careers and to use it ethically. But there are also some considerations in school districts with the use of AI around maintaining student privacy, which is a law that, you know, we have to uphold. And so I think some clear guidance from the board in terms of policy, more than just mentioning it on the student side, which is what tonight's policy does. But talking about it in maybe just a little bit more detail. You know, the state of Washington is one of a handful of states. Our OSPI has put out a nice statement of giving some direction about ethical use of AI in the educational setting that we could use as a template to help think about our own policy here locally. And so I just would love to encourage us to start making ourselves a little bit more aware of that issue, because it really has, if we're thinking long-term and future planning and how our policy affects the way that education is going to be shaped in the next 5 to 10 years, it's important. It's an important issue for us to be mindful of. And it's already something that our teachers are grappling with now, right? They're grappling, you know, do I let my students use ChatGPT? And maybe one teacher does, and they explore it and explore the ethics of it, in the same class with a different teacher bans it, and those students don't get exposure to it, and maybe both have legitimate reasons for those choices. I hope that us setting some policy would be an opportunity then for our superintendent to have the encouragement from the board to lead some discussion and professional development, and hear back from our community about what more nuanced and detailed understanding of the use of AI in education that they would like to see. So I don't want us to be heavy-handed, because with technology, things can shift really quickly. But some general guidance, I think, about things like making sure that the use of AI is human-centered, making sure that student privacy is protected, right? A teacher has access to things like ChatGPT, and maybe they are using it right now to give feedback on student work, and they're plugging student work into that device and getting feedback. And that's a wonderful, useful tool, and we could have some robust conversation about that. But the district has a legal obligation to make sure that that tool is protecting student privacy. So there are some intersections that we need to be mindful of, and I don't mean that to be like, let's scare it off and not use it. But that it's happening, and if we don't address it, we're setting our students up to use it in irresponsible ways. We're putting our teachers in binds to make the judgment calls on their own without that robust discussion and support. And maybe that discussion has already been happening, but some guidance from the board. So that's what's been on my mind the last week or so.
It's good to bring that into the mix.
Yeah.
Jason?
I don't know how much Nick hit on. I was just gonna remind everybody tomorrow and Saturday, the Mount Baker Academic and Athletic at MBSD-Board. There's a lot of stuff, auction stuff, a lot. They're doing a breakfast Saturday morning there. A bunch of some of the teachers and parents are gonna help out and do that. And talk about the backpack thing. That kind of started last weekend at the racetrack. A lot of people brought backpacks, a lot more coming this weekend and stuff. So that's all tomorrow night, all day stuff going on Saturday, and it's a pretty good thing and will work out good for the school. So that's all I got.
And thank you so much for that. I mean, you've been doing this for some time, and it's very meaningful for the district.
Yeah, it's good. It's fun. It's a good time. So
Yeah. Brenna?
I don't have anything.
Okay.
Sorry.
For myself, I have just one item. kind of a follow-up on the presentation from Chris Hankey from the DNR. And I don't mean this in a political sense, but the results of the August 6th primary, we need to keep an eye on for the potential financial impact. Today's vote count, the candidate who edged into second place is now in second place by a little over 1,000 votes, has stated that he would, at the first day of his office, put something like 70 or 70,000 acres of state forest land off limits to harvest. And that's one of the major areas where that would be located is Whatcom County. And as you remember from Chris's presentation, 3/4 of the acreage in the operable acres in our state forest in Mount Baker School District is in that less than 40-year-old age class. So they're depending on this particular slice of timberland to provide the volume while that close but not quite old enough timber grows up into harvestable size. So as we saw with the pause on timber sales again, that can come to a screeching halt. I will be monitoring it, and if need be, we can discuss with the Department of Natural Resources the acceleration of sales timing, but you can't guarantee anything. And so I just wanted to make sure that we're aware that that's out there as a potential threat. Just keep an eye on it. So that's all I had. Next up is action items, and we're going to start with Mount Baker Policy 6212, charge cards and procurement cards. Nick, if you'd like to address this one.
Yeah, so this was simply changing that this policy had always used the word charge cards. It's simply adding the phrase procurement cards to it, because P cards are an additional method we've added for purchases in the event that some vendors don't have purchase orders anymore. So yeah, this is a way for us to ensure that, our family service coordinators are able to get jackets or shoes for students in a timely manner without impacting the security of an actual credit card.
My understanding of procurement cards acting much like a charge card, but you have the ability to put more restrictions on it, on the card, than including they can be restricted to just particular vendors.
Yep.
If we so choose. So there are some additional cautions that could be taken if we needed to. So it gives that a little broader ability to keep close tabs on those transactions. Any other questions on? I know Ed had some questions. He emailed both Nick and I answered him, and I believe you answered him, or Brian.
I asked Brian to answer him.
Yeah, and he communicated back to both of us that he was fine with the policy.
Yeah, he was curious if this was in any way connected to curbing spending, and the direct answer is no. It's a matter of ensuring that it's proper spending, and I mean, in certain ways, it has helped make sure we can get the correct prices on things, because if we're so reliant on purchase orders only, we might end up paying a higher vendor price just because they offer a PO. So this could potentially save some money.
Yeah. Other questions, Brenna? Okay. If there are no further comments or questions, this is one I would propose for first and final reading, adoption. If someone would like to so move.
I move to adopt policy 6212, first and final reading.
A second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you. Next up is Mount Baker Policy 2022, Electronic Resources and Internet Safety. Again, Nick?
Yep, this is a pretty straightforward one as far as it simply is a title change and then inserts a phrase including appropriate use of artificial intelligence. So it's acknowledging that, artificial intelligence, I think Director Gray spoke about it quite well. Quite frankly, I'd say we're a little behind. Not just Mount Baker, all of us, right? This stuff is moving fast. So this just tries to keep us up with ensuring that we're at least talking about AI in our policy.
So questions or comments? Danielle?
Just the comment that I would love to see even more clarity added to this policy or an additional white page or something in addition to this. I'm not opposed to it, obviously, to add that language in his policy. I would just like to see additional policy work.
Yeah.
Have you had any procedures language that's added in along with this?
This one did have some procedural changes to it. I don't have them right now. But yeah, that Daniel, I'm more than happy to look at those. It seems like something that you're very interested in. And I think, depending on the student side versus the staff side, where that lives, you look a lot about how important our student handbook is and that kind of stuff. Because a lot of our staff have, especially at the secondary campus, have engaged with artificial intelligence. Principal Durand has actually gone through some professional development around AI, specifically for teaching and assessment, actually, it was. Yeah, so it's, if you can take this standard and we copy and paste a standard from the state standards and say, create a rubric to solve, to score an essay on, and it does it. Yeah.
There's wonderful stuff that you can do for, and so teachers need to know that they have, for instance, permission to use AI to generate assignments that are tied to a standard. Or if there are guardrails, what should those be?
Yep.
A lot of what I've looked into and read says, human eyes need to be the final.
Yep.
The final arbiter.
Yep.
Of whether something gets used. You can't just rely on the technology to decide for you because it makes mistakes. And I have used AI pretty extensively.
Yeah.
And it's wrong sometimes.
Yep.
And I'm like, I don't talk back to it and say, no.
Yeah.
You were wrong. I'm so sorry.
Yeah. Because I think the statistic I heard that it, as far as especially information, like factual information, it's only current up to 3 years ago. So if it's an event that has occurred within the last 3 years, it won't know about it.
That's right.
And so I shared with you all a link to some of OSPI's work around this, and I really like that concept of human input, AI does its thing, and then human review before we.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right. And that feedback on student work should never be solely AI driven, right?
Yep.
Again,
Yes.
you can use it as an alongside in partnership, but that again, an expert needs to be looking and assessing, is this right or does it need to be adjusted? Yeah.
I'll be curious to see, this has been a big priority of State Superintendent Reichdahl about this. And he's even taken, kind of some legislative approaches to this, because he's shared with a group of area superintendents that one of his concerns is that if it doesn't get regulated quickly enough, it'll turn into social media essentially, and then we're gonna kind of lose the power of how impressive this stuff is. Because if it becomes commercialized and monetized, then it's gonna be, then, what's to stop that every result's gonna say the word Pepsi in it, right?
Right. Right.
So.
Absolutely. There's a lot to think about there. And so I'd love to see us be proactive.
Yeah, thank you, I
as a
agree.
district. Yeah.
Jason?
No, I don't have anything. Danielle brought some good points up.
Yeah, just, with Danielle exploring it a little bit more, it's all very new, but I think the language at least gets the thoughts in there that needs to happen for now. But yeah, and I guess maybe what you're talking about, is it more on the policy side or is it more on the procedure side? So I don't know. That's a discussion for later on, I would think, but I think as written, I'm comfortable approving it, so.
Yeah, ultimately, I think it'll be in the staff development side where
Yeah.
that's where the rubber hits the road, so that the teachers are on board with how to work with this. You know, it was interesting that at our last WASDA Legislative Assembly, there was a proposal on artificial intelligence that was worded to be very restrictive or sort of, you know, control of the hazards of artificial intelligence. And I think through the discussion amongst all the board members, including, I think we had some pretty good input from Lake Washington School District, where Microsoft is located, saying, let's balance this because there are also opportunities. And I think Washington State actually is one of the states that's best positioned to lead the way that way, because we, you know, obviously all of us are concerned about the pitfalls, but we also have a significant tech industry that is on the forefront of developing the opportunities and safeguards. And so that dialogue between the state, the education community, including OSBI, and those businesses can hopefully help us be leaders in the country. So I think that's something that we need. You know, it happens faster than we can really keep up with.
Yes.
You know, it's that when the rate of change is faster than humans are accustomed to change, it gets very challenging, and I think sometimes we tend to overreact because of that, because we don't understand it. So I think that having that impetus and enough of the experts in the state guiding and leading the way, I think gives us more confidence that we can at least, it's like being in the rodeo and being on a bronco. You know, you hope to stay on your 8 seconds or whatever it is. So, but it is moving.
Yes, right.
Very quickly.
But I think, you know, in our case, adding the wording artificial intelligence to our policy is essential. So if there's no further comments or questions on that, I would entertain a motion to add that wording first and final reading approval.
Motion to approve Mount Baker Policy 2022.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, thank you. Next up is a bit of along the same line, Mount Baker Policy 2023, Digital Citizenship and Media Literacy. So Nick, if you want
Yeah,
to elaborate on this one.
sure. So like you mentioned, a couple spots where they inserted concepts of artificial intelligence. But a big part that has been inserted in here is digital citizenship, which is where I want to give a public shout out to our elementary librarian, Ann Skelton. Her collaboration with Melissa Menti as well as Bridget Rossman has really helped beef up that early digital citizenship. So our kiddos are learning about it as early as 3rd grade. It's getting reported in 4th, 5th, and 6th. So ideally, by the time they get to junior high, those teachers can refer to digital citizenship because the foundation's already been set during those library sessions that they have with Ann. So we're grateful for that work, and that's why this policy language update actually just kind of matches what we're already doing, as opposed to doing something new. The one piece where I will acknowledge that there's some next steps for us is around online safety, responsibility, and security. It talks about requirements around training and educating our students in cyberbullying and cyber awareness. And something we're exploring right now that we're actually pretty excited about is through the risk pool, we have a subscription to a program called Vector Solutions. And Vector is what we use to train staff annually. So like, for example, before teachers can start the school year up again, they'll take a module on bloodborne pathogens. Vector has now come out with a student side of things where a lot of these pieces exist. So we're in the very beginning stages of looking at how we can use those educational modules to support our students in those areas. So yeah, Bridget's in the beginning stages of looking at that. Yeah.
So questions or comments on this one? Brenna?
No, I think that's great. One of the things that I hear most about when people are talking to me about bullying, it's that it's happening more on like by texting and messaging and things like that. And so as long as I'm happy to hear that, I'm hoping that what you were just talking about, Nick, would include something like that, because yeah, that's what I hear most about as far as bullying, and I don't think they're doing it too much to their faces, or maybe I'm wrong about that, but mostly it's the online thing. So I was just thinking, okay, so this is really weird, but I was thinking about this the other day. Did you guys ever see the movie in elementary school called The Red Balloon? And you might have been too old for that, Russ, but and I thought about I really loved that movie. She said,
I have thick skin.
yeah, that's true. Well, I was thinking about that movie, and I really loved it. And I was like, well, why would they show that to us when we were kids? Like, it was kind of a sad film. And then I was thought, oh yeah, it's like that taught you empathy. And so I think that anything that we can do more to get kids to embrace empathy, that's the direction that I'd really like to see us go, because I think that that's what's lacking mostly in a lot of relationships these days. So
Thank
I say go for it.
you. Jason?
Yeah, I agree with Brent on that, and it's nice to hear from Nick that we're doing it. We're just are changing the policy to what we're doing, which is a good thing, and have something different on there. So I agree with it.
And you?
I think I've said all my piece. I mean, right, this focuses on the student side, digital citizenship.
Yep.
Still need some guidance and policy for employee side.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think, you know, bullying is has been forever a bigger problem. And the ability to do that digitally allows the perpetrator to hide.
That's made it easier.
It makes it even worse, yeah. And so any strengthening protective resources that we can have, both, you know, educating kids to on both sides of that equation, but particularly self-protection is critical, because you read about that, you know, cyberbullying has led to suicides in children. And it's something we have to take very seriously.
If I may,
Mhm.
I would also just add, you know, that digital citizenship is a very big bucket, right? It includes being able to look critically at the media that
Yeah.
Yeah,
that it is, and
exactly.
ask
Yeah.
questions of it. It's about cybersecurity and being able to protect your identity, right? Like, there's so many layers to it. And it's such an important thing for us to model to our kids. I know that, and like Brenna is talking about the cyberbullying, I know there's some movement afoot in the state to perhaps ban smartphones in educational settings. And I think people should be aware that that is on the docket, that there's movement afoot on that.
Yeah.
And it's definitely worth considering, you know, does that ban protect our young people from cyberbullying and distraction in the classroom? Very much potentially. And I say that as a teacher, seeing the distraction that it can provide. And at the same time, you know, there are a lot of really innovative uses of smartphones in the classroom, where you can, as a teacher, leverage that all the students came with a phone, and they can answer pop quiz questions, and immediately you can put up on the screen the results of people's anonymous answers. And so it can also be an educational tool to help model digital citizenship and help our students use the technology that's with them, and learn to do it in a responsible and mindful way. So there's a discussion to be had there that's happening in our state right now. I don't have a strong position on one way or the other, but if folks do, then they might want to check into that.
Yeah, that's one where I'd rather have the school board let that discussion happen
Uh-huh.
and then come up to our level, then order top down. It's
That's
just
right.
like I say, commanding the waves to stop. They don't stop.
No,
And you have to recognize that the students and the parents and the teachers on the ground are the ones that really have to both implement it and figure out how can we continue to improve how we use these things. I mean, I know when I walk into a classroom, kids change their screens. That's kind of a sign to me that they think that I don't like what I can see on there. I mean, that's just my guess,
oh, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
but I see we have another member.
This is Mouse.
So if there are no further questions or comments on the policy 2023, I'd entertain a motion for first and final reading and adoption of policy 2023.
Motion for Mount Baker Policy 2023, first and final reading.
Second.
Those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. And last on action items is schedule of compensation, benefits, and other information between non-represented classified staff and Mount Baker students. So Nick, if you wanna.
Yep, this is a group of our employees who are not a part of the PSE union, which is our classified group, but are still considered by statute to be classified because they do not have a certificate of any kind. Not huge changes in this schedule from last year to this year. There's some change in the severance language. And then there is also the 3.7% salary increase, which was based on the state IPD, which is also what the represented classified employees got as well. Yep.
So any questions on this one?
Nope.
Jason? Yeah, it seemed like it pretty simple, straightforward, tightened up some of the loose end and the compensation needs to be equal.
And this doesn't change the budget.
No, the budget, the board adopted, assumed that this was going to happen. Yeah, exactly.
So I entertain a motion on the scheduled compensation.
Motion to approve schedule of compensation and benefits.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye, thank you. In Director of Finance report, you don't have?
There is not one tonight, no.
Okay. Superintendent's report.
Yeah, so I just wanted to give a quick update on water because that's an important part of what we do and how we operate. As you guys know, there's some changing personnel in the maintenance department, so I just want to ensure folks have confidence in what we're doing. We're going to continue to work with Burke as our wastewater folks. So we manage, we have some septic at Acme and Kendall and Harmony. And so Burke does that work as well as the Lost Lagoon, which is a large on-site septic system, I've been learning a lot about water last month, so that's why I'm happy to share it with you today. That system is so large that that's actually the state oversees that system, whereas the county oversees our other wastewater systems. So we will continue to work with Burke to do that work. Then with the testing of the drinking water, we have someone on staff who will be able to continue to do daily checks. Those are more along the lines of chlorine levels. But we are currently meeting to sign a contract with Water System Services. Dave Olson is the gentleman there, and he has the required state credentials to perform a lot of the water testing for us. And he is also Meridian School District is who works with him, which is where the recommendation came from. Because as a water system, we're required to have certain folks with certain certificates, and contracting with Dave will ensure that we have those. And the rough financial commitment to that is anywhere between $400 and $500 a month. So anywhere from about $5,000 to $6,000 a year for those services. So he'll ensure that our drinking water is good to go. And then the last piece is I'm still in communications with Trish Lepper with the Deming Water Association. They are currently updating their water system. And one of the requirements of updating their water system is to have an emergency connection to a nearby water system. So something historically they used to be attached to our well, they would like to reattach to our well. And the good part about that is the relationship is reciprocal. So if, heaven forbid, there's a fire here, we can draw from Deming if we need to. And then if something happens there, they can draw from our well if they need to. I spoke with Lorette Rasmussen from Whatcom County Health Department, and she encouraged, she said that is a very wise agreement to have and wise connection to have. So Tammy, Trish, and I are looking for some historical records to see, because this connection did used to exist, but we're not sure if we can find the paperwork for it. So we're gonna keep working on that. Obviously, it's gonna be a contract, so you'll review it before we take any other steps. But I just wanted to give you a little water update.
In your research, did you find what precisely our payments to Deming Water Association are covering?
I am not sure. Tammy, do you know that off the top of your head? I can.
I do not.
Okay, I think Angie might know some of that, so I can check with her.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it's
Maybe
all-
they know what their billing is for.
Yeah.
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 I mean, they have the water usage for water wheels and
Uh-huh.
such all come off of there, so.
And I think we sell some historical water rights because they're out of, I think from what I understand, Deming Water Association is out of rights to sell.
Right,
But we maintain some historical ones
Yeah.
because of the houses on Mitchell.
right. No, I think that's vital, because
Yep.
you give them up, you can't get it back.
That's exactly right.
Mhm.
Yeah. Mhm. So yeah, there's your water update.
Well, thank you very
Um,
much.
I have a question about the water thing.
Yeah.
Is that okay? So we're gonna have a guy do the testing. Is there an opportunity to get an employee to certify to do the testing?
So I should have clarified that, yes. One of our maintenance employees is on his way to getting certification. He just needs a certain number of hours to achieve that certification. So he is working on that right now.
Oh, okay, so there's a chance that it won't be 5,000 for the whole year. We might be able to save some money on
I
that.
think it'll take.
If he can get his hours done.
It'll take at least a year. And out
A
of-
year, okay.
what I'll also say out of full transparency is the time versus financial resources with a department that's rather small already.
Yeah.
Because the guy who does it is Jeff Schmidt, who also makes sure our football field looks as good as it looks on Friday night. So amongst other things, right, he's making sure the grounds are good at all of our facilities. So I think even with his training, looking at workload, that's something we're gonna have to keep monitoring is the workload of the maintenance department. That team has taken
Right.
reductions over the years. And so if contract labor, if it's not too cost prohibitive, but can support that crew, I think that's something for us to consider.
Yeah, definitely. That makes sense.
Yeah, I think, it appears to me to be cost effective.
Yeah.
We actually, I never monitored the amount that we were, that our in-house was taking in terms of both time and other expenses, but I would hazard a guess that we were, for that portion of the time, paying more than this contract.
Yeah, I should also clarify, when we developed the budget that was passed, Brian was mindful and actually was, when you're conservative with expense budgets, you budget for more. So our budget for contracted services within maintenance is quite high. So this cost is not of a concern to Brian or I right now. So.
Does that answer your question? Okay, any further?
Yes.
Jake?
Yes, thank you.
Danielle?
Will we get to see the results of that
Yeah,
testing?
the results are actually public, so I can send you a link to the Department of Health website.
Okay.
Yeah, because
Mhm.
that's an important part is the transparency. People know what they're drinking.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, you bet.
Yeah, North Fork has to do those too. We do it every month.
Oh, yeah.
Jason?
Just a question, do school districts like counties and cities work together, do interlocals and stuff? There's the school districts offer that, like if you were to try to like with the city Everson, because I know they do their water and have their
Oh,
tester.
yeah.
I'm just maybe cheaper than a private contractor.
That's a good point.
I don't know how that works or if it's something that's feasible, but it might be something to look into if it becomes a money thing.
Sure, yeah, it's a great idea, because we definitely do interlocals with other municipalities all
Yeah.
the time. That's a great idea.
Yeah, well, thank you. Thank you, Nick.
You're welcome.
So board discussion, I had planned on reviewing the board self-assessment. We didn't do that. I will say it was, I've done it before, but it's a nice way of looking at what we feel we're doing well, what areas I think we're missing. So I think when we get those results back in, I think it should help spark some good discussion.
I agree, doing the survey, I did have a few don't knows being, new, and then made me think of things, notes written, like what to look into and what to learn more of and stuff, and there was a fair amount in that, the questions there, so I felt it was really good for me, so, yeah.
Well, either remember those or bring the notes with you.
Yeah, there was a whole lot, so.
So we can incorporate those in our discussion.
Sure.
So, no more. Any comments, Dan?
I've been really chatty tonight.
So, meeting schedule, our next scheduled meeting is with the administration, including principals, at 8 AM on August 14th.
That's right. It does sound like there's
And
gonna be-
will that be in this room?
Yep. I think there's gonna be a quorum there, right?
I believe so.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Brenna, will you
Yeah.
be in attendance that day?
Yes.
I only ask because for lunch, the principals and the directors are gonna head out to North Fork for lunch. So we thought maybe we'd get a jump start if we gave our lunch order to you and you left in the morning.
Yeah, totally.
Cool.
No problem.
Thank you.
And August 22nd is our retreat. Just prior, so same day as the board meeting. And that begins also at 8 AM.
No, 1 PM.
1 PM. Oh, you're right. So you don't have to get started so early, 1 PM, okay. We have no executive session items. And that allows us to adjourn. Thank you,
Oh my
everyone.
gosh.
I should get 2 cents.
Russ, you beat my record. Okay, bye.
Bye, Brenna.
So Brenda, you can sign things, Tammy can send you the digital signing.
Okay, sounds good.
We'll look for that in your email.
Okay,
Thanks.
we'll do it. See you guys later.
Yep.
See ya.
Good night. Bye.